What happens if you're a 100-year-old gnome wanting to celebrate their centennial birthday with 12 of your gnomey mates? Well, that's a situation that happens in Gnomdom, or Gnomdom. I'm not quite sure how you pronounce this, but I'm going to go with Gnomdom because it reminds me of Gnomdom status in the UK. And, grab your legal jargon wherever you can. In Gnomdom, you are trying to rescue these 12 gnomes and get them back to the birthday celebration. And this breaks out into 12 screens where you can see the gnome is kind of trapped in some puzzles somewhere. And each of these screens has multiple puzzles inside them. But they're what I would call traditional style puzzles, or casual hidden object style puzzle games. And I'll try and explain what I mean. Like, one puzzle would be like matching pairs of things together, or trying to press lots of buttons and seeing if they stay pressed in so that you can then complete a sequence. That might then lead you on to, say, a sliding block puzzle game instead, or a how can I shut off all of the lights and make sure they all stay off type game. And they're very casual and succinct and bite-sized, but each gnome has like 2 or 3 that need to be completed in sequence for them to then be unlocked and become free. One of the interesting things about Gnomdom, though, is that there is no text or help or support to kind of understand what it is that you're supposed to do. And whilst that doesn't matter for the vast majority of this game, I did come across several puzzles where it wasn't immediately obvious to me the extent of everything that I could do. A really good example of this is that there's a puzzle where you can rotate round hexagonal like honeybees so that you can try and rebuild lots of bees on honey, so that the honey then drops down and gets a sticky leaf that your little gnome can then slide down a caterpillar's back and land on so that they can not die from a fall. But the issue with it is that it doesn't overtly tell you that you could pick up and move around and swap around all of these hexagons. So I spent ages just rotating things around, going, well, they don't line up. And it wasn't until I accidentally nudged the mouse and I pulled something away that I realised that there was something else underneath. And so I occasionally kept going back to this old adage of point and click games, just click everything until you actually see if everything interacts with it or not, and what you can and can't do. And that felt like a bit of a misstep for me. If you're going down that I'm having a wordless game, you have to be so overtly in your face with what it is that you're telling the player to do through really good graphic design and gameplay signalling. Sometimes that was just a little bit messy for me in Gnomdom. That then brings me on to the kind of strange difficulty level for this game, because I feel like it's being aimed at young children, but I think young children might struggle a little bit with some of the traditional puzzle difficulty of things. Some of the slider puzzles are actually quite difficult, and I've always had a mental block when it comes to slider puzzles totally anyway. And some of the ones that are less obvious, so it might be things like it looks like you've solved all of the puzzles, but you need to then press things in a certain order, but the order's determined by like the colour of flowers in the background, and if you aren't paying observational attention, that might be a little bit lost on a young nipper. So what I would say is that if you like the look of this game and you want some more traditional puzzling gameplay to be had, play this together as a family so that you can help out your young ones get through it all. But I do think actually this is ultimately going to do better with the cozy crowd because of its nature vibe, the beautiful hand-drawn graphics, the quite lively and bouncy and almost nursery rhyme bookish sound effects and design, and just the general uplifting vibe of it. So yeah, Gnomdom, not about tax in the UK. It's all about gnomes celebrating 100 years of fun. And if you like your traditional point-and-click adventure puzzling, this might be one to pick up for a bite-sized couple of hours of gnoming around. Higher Plane Games is part of the Higher Plane Network, a completely independent media outlet supported by people like you. The goal is to create the best possible content that cultivates a richer indie scene for games as well as music and entertainment. To find out more and to get involved, visit patreon.com/higherplane-network. Your support makes all the difference, and in return you'll gain access to bonus content and downloads. Thank you for watching.